Although it may now seem like a thing of the past, it wasn't that long ago that thousands of little baby faces appeared on milk cartons across the United States under a huge, "missing" headline. However, although the Missing Children's Milk Carton campaign has reached many people, the fate of many of them remains unknown today. 6-year-old Etan Patz, from New York, was one of the children whose picture was plastered on milk cartons after his disappearance in 1979. His case remained unsolved for nearly 4 decades, but in 2017, a jury returned a prison sentence on the man believed to be responsible for the disappearance of Etan Patz, closing the case that helped start the Missing Children Through Milk Cartons program. Although the suspect is now behind bars, the 40-year story of Etan Patz's disappearance remains as frightening as it was all those years ago. Etan Patz was only 6 years old when he left his home in Soho, Manhattan, on Friday, May 25, 1979. On that day, the boy with curly hair and blue eyes was wearing a black hat and striped sneakers. With a bag full of elephant pictures and his favorite toys, he took $1 to buy a soft drink and went out into the streets of New York. This was the first time he had successfully convinced his mother, Julie Patz, to let him walk the 2 distances to the bus stop alone. Unbeknownst to her, this was the last time she would see her son. When she found out that he was absent from school that day, she lost control of herself. The NYPD immediately began a massive search, sending 100 officers with hounds and helicopters to search for the missing boy. They went door by door, conducting room-by-room searches. Etan's father, Stanley, was a professional photographer, and his photographs of Etan were displayed everywhere from the Manhattan District Attorney's office to Times Square. Pictures of Etan Patz appeared on television, hung on telephone poles, popped off screens in Times Square, and were eventually printed on milk cartons in every state. Milk carton child kidnapping attracts community attention. The case of Etan Patz's disappearance became famous for placing pictures of missing children's faces on milk cartons. Etan Patz was not the first missing child to appear on milk cartons. The move started a few years ago in the middle of the country when 2 boys disappeared in Iowa, but it was never official. The disappearance of Etan Patz in particular was illogical and without a trace, which attracted the attention of parents and society and brought the milk carton campaign into the national limelight. People began to care more about who was put on the milk cartons because his case had become huge and was not limited to a state. In 1983, President Reagan designated May 25, the day of Etan Patz's kidnapping, National Missing Children's Day. His case then inspired the founding of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, in 1984. The organization quickly adopted Iowa's milk carton strategy, making Etan the first child to be featured in a national campaign. At that time, it had been 5 full years since his disappearance. The case has gone cold. A new wave of anxiety and suspicion has spread across the country as the faces of more missing children appear on pizza boxes, utility bills, grocery bags, phone books, and more. Sometimes, the nudges were effective, as in the case of 7-year-old Bonnie Lohman, who found a photo of herself as a child while shopping with the stepfather who had kidnapped her 5 years earlier. But those instances were rare, and the photos had a huge impact in spreading awareness that the world is not the happy, healthy place that many Americans believe it should be. Stranger danger has become a common theme in homes and schools, with milk cartons serving as poignant and terrifying objects. But even if Etan Patz's name has become inseparable from warnings about sexual predators and murderers, his actual fate remains a mystery. As the decades passed, law enforcement continued to investigate Etan Patz's disappearance. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, leads led them to the Middle East, Germany and Switzerland. In 2000, investigators searched a New York basement belonging to José Ramos, a former child rapist who was having an affair with one of Patz's nannies. But after 8 hours of searching, they found no evidence. Then, in 2001, 22 years after his disappearance, Etan Patz was declared legally dead. Patz's father sought the declaration in order to file a wrongful death lawsuit against Ramos, who was convicted in a civil case in 2004 but did not confess to, nor was formally prosecuted, to the murder against the boy. In 2012, police realized that Othniel Miller, a domestic worker who knew Etan Patz, had poured a concrete floor shortly after the boy disappeared. They dug some earth and found nothing. However, the digging operation revived media coverage of the issue. A few weeks later, authorities received a call from José López, who claimed that his brother-in-law, Pedro Hernández, was responsible for Etan Patz's death. On the intervening morning of Etan Patz's tragic disappearance in 1979, Hernández was working as an 18-year-old stock clerk at a supermarket on Prince Street, not far from the boy's home. A few days after Etan Patz disappeared, Hernández moved to his hometown in New Jersey. Shortly after that, he started telling people that he had killed a child in New York. Through tears, he confessed to his church group, to his childhood friends, and even to his fiancée. But it wasn't until after his brother-in-law made contact before Hernández confessed to police. When he was taken into custody, he told investigators that he lured Etan Patz into the store's basement. He grabbed him by the neck, and started to strangle him. He did not explain why he did this. Was he harassing him and afraid that his matter would be revealed, or did he kill him for fun? However, Hernández claimed the boy was alive when he put him in a plastic bag, placed him inside a box and threw him away. 33 years after the disappearance, police made the first arrest in the case. But with only Hernández's statements as evidence, the trial dragged on for a long time. The defense team argued that Hernández, now 56, suffers from a mental illness that makes it difficult for him to distinguish between fantasy and reality. His attorney reminded jurors that Hernández has an IQ of 70 and suggested that police use questionable tactics while questioning this mentally ill man. In other words, they said he was persuaded to confess to something he didn't do. They also pointed to the Ramos case, arguing that Ramos had a clearer motive. The trial in 2015 ended in a tie with one member of the jury believing Hernández was innocent. However, when a new trial was held in 2017, the panel confirmed his conviction. Hernández was sentenced to life in prison for murder and kidnapping on February 14, 2017. Cyrus R. stated, Vance Jr., Manhattan District Attorney, said of the decision, the disappearance of Etan Patz affected families in New York and across the country for nearly 4 decades. Today, the jury confirmed in the most unequivocal way possible that Pedro Hernández kidnapped and murdered the missing child. After 38 years, the story of Etan Patz has not completely faded from public memory. On the day the case was closed, people left flowers in front of the now abandoned store where he is believed to have been murdered. The faces of missing children like Etan Patz no longer appear on milk cartons. However, Etan Patz's disappearance continued to leave a lasting impact through the Amber Urgent Alert system established in 1996.